So why not file a whistleblower case? There are some things that you really need to think about before you make that decision, because the reality is there are some real dangers to being a whistleblower. You, the whistleblower, have information about fraud being committed. You bring that information to the government. You help the government recover money from the defendants. You work with the government to help them recover the money. And if that is successful, then you, the whistleblower, get a share of the recovery. Something else that you may also know, an important piece of it, is that most whistleblower attorneys, certainly the ones with the most experience, represent their clients on a contingency fee basis, which means you, the whistleblower, don't pay anything unless the case is successful, and what you pay is a share of the recovery. And so with that in mind, people often ask, well, why not file a case? I've got good evidence of fraud. It's not going to cost me anything to get my lawyer to represent me. And there's a chance that at the end of the day, I could get a big payday. I could make a lot of money. So what's the downside? And the answer is the downsides can be significant. There are a number of them. The first is retaliation. Most whistleblowers, unfortunately, will get fired from their job if and when, but usually when their company learns that they are a whistleblower. Many people have already been fired by the time they come talk to me or to another whistleblower lawyer. Whistleblowers often have a hard time, once it gets known in the industry, they get blackballed. They have a hard time getting another job or keeping another job if they've gotten one. Now, there are statutes that provide protection for whistleblowers that make it illegal to fire a whistleblower and provide damages if a whistleblower is fired. But as a practical matter, getting a recovery after the fact is often small compensation after you've lost your job and lost your career and gone through that stressful process. So there is the very real cost of retaliation. Another big cost of filing any whistleblower case is the stress involved. These cases take a long time. 3 years is quick. 5 years, 7 years, 10 years is far more likely. And during that entire process, you will be asked to come and help the government to speak about the fraud, to think about the fraud. Sometimes even worse, there'll be times where you're not asked to talk about it. 6 months could go by, a year could go by, where you don't know what's happening with your case. It's an incredibly stressful process. You will also be wondering, what are the defendants, what are the company that committed the fraud, what are they saying about me? Even if you had no involvement with the fraud, but especially if you had some involvement and that's how you know about the fraud, is you were doing the things that are wrong, and it was only when you realized how wrong they were and blew the whistle that you stop and think, holy cow, am I in trouble? That stressful process, like I said, will go on for a long time. Think of if you've ever been audited by the IRS, even if you didn't do anything wrong, how much fun is that? Or another example, if you're like me, if I'm driving along, even if I'm driving the speed limit, doing nothing wrong, if there's a police officer behind me, it's stressful. I'm nervous. It's kind of like that for 3 years or 5 years. The other thing is, even if you have really good evidence, there are no guarantees in these cases. The False Claims Act and the other whistleblower programs are very good and valuable laws, but they're also complicated. And good cases can fail for reasons that have nothing to do with how strong the evidence is, how bad the misconduct was, how much damage was done to the government. So at the outset of a case, and even a long way through the process, there is no guarantee. So you may be facing that retaliation, going through all of that stress without a recovery at the end. And as to the recoveries, there can be a lot of money at the end of one of these cases. If you've read in the news, there are whistleblowers who have won rewards that are in the kind of lottery level of money. But those are rare. even in successful cases, the recoveries tend to be far more modest. And it can still be a lot of money. It could be the kind of money that allows a whistleblower to not work as hard going forward. But those are the successful ones. I gotta say, as a practical matter, my clients, even the clients who have had those kinds of successful cases, they almost always would tell you it's not worth it for the money. Just for the money, they would not do it again. So the question is, why would they do it? And why should you do it? And really, the biggest reason when I look at the clients that I've had, successful and unsuccessful in terms of the case and recovering money, but the reason that they give why they would do it again is really more, and forgive my grammar, it's because they couldn't not do it. It's because they were in a situation where they saw fraud, they saw patients at risk, they saw the public at risk, they saw the government getting ripped off, they saw a kind of fraud that was fundamentally corrupting a program, so deserving companies weren't winning contracts, and companies that were lying were winning contracts, and it just wasn't right. Many times, by the time these whistleblowers came to me, they had already reported the fraud and been fired, or were on the way to getting fired. The ones that hadn't yet been fired, again, when they came to me, the answer really was, when I asked them, why do you want to do it? The answer was, I have to do it. I can't not do it. I have to report this. I have to try and fix it. And even if a case won't be successful, even if I get no money at the end, I can't live with myself if I don't try and fix this. So if you would like legal advice, if you think you have a case, or if you just want to talk about the whistleblower process, please feel free to give me a call for a free confidential consultation.